Okay. Excuse me. I was coming back from a training ride, a beautiful Sunday, and I was on the final leg, actually, coming back into town and coming down Founders Parkway. And it's an area I probably do, I come down that road to finish up, to turn into Castle Rock. I've done it probably 100 to 120 times. And I was coming down the hill, and I was changing lanes from the right to the left because I know the timing really well in there. And if there's no traffic, I can switch lanes very safely, signaling, and I'll be able to make a left-hand turn up ahead at Woodlands. And I was making those lane changes, and I made it into the middle lane. And I was struck from behind by a large truck. Later, I found out it was an F-250, which is a big truck. And it tossed me roughly 60 feet, is what I was told, and I could kind of judge later from just police reports and what I read. But I rolled 60 feet with my bike and tangled around me. And yeah, I was doing about 32 miles an hour at the time, so he was probably doing a little bit faster in order to hit me. But it's one of those things I wish I would have passed out, because I can remember every second of it. I did not break a bone. I just had a tremendous amount of road rash and lost a very substantial amount of blood on the road. My name is Gary Robinson. I am been a cyclist almost my entire life. I am also the owner, editor, and director for a business which started as a blog but is now a business called Colorado Avid Cyclist, which is basically an online magazine in a way, and a resource for cyclists throughout the state of Colorado. I've raced for a couple teams, most recently Groove Subaru, and I've trained anywhere from about 220 to 300 miles a week when I'm in full training, a little less in the winter. And for instance, this morning, just ramping back up, and I did about 26 miles this morning as a early training ride. I love to ride on, I love riding on the road. I'm a born road rider. I started riding long before helmets were even invented for cyclists. And yeah, I just grew up road riding. There were no mountain bikes when I was a kid. So basically road biking was the only other way other than you could have a one-speed little cruiser bike, which I still have one in my garage that I love to take out. But I love riding on roads. It's just what I love to do, mostly remote rides. I love riding in the mountains. I love to climb. I love to climb passes and things like that. Apparently, the person who hit me had posted a picture of me on social media, on Facebook, and me laying in the street with paramedics around me saying this expletive. Cut me off, and I hit him. He's lucky to be alive. And does anybody know, or he was looking for what he needs to do to make sure this guy pays for his bumper? And it started a thread, and my phone just blew up with a screenshot of that. And some friends of mine that were part of a group and saw this started just sending me screenshots saying, I think you should know what's going on here. And well, the first one was this you? Was the first post I got. Tell me this wasn't you. And I said, Mark, it was me. And then I bet I got 200 screenshots that day of all this conversation. So it was a lot like what was on the post after the Douglas County one. And that's why I say that. We saw those. I was in the ER and I'm reading these posts and with my wife right there, and it was just kind of a little bit crazy. But, and I saw the post from Douglas County, and, I looked at it, I said, well, I think the post could have been done a lot better. But I saw the same comments coming from different people. The same kind of things that were on that thread that, after my accident was these cyclists shouldn't be on the road, yada, yada. And just, I don't want to say ignorant in a hateful way. It was just they don't understand the law. Some people said cyclists aren't allowed on the road unless they can travel the speed limit. Just silly comments, and some of them were really hateful comments that I received on both threads, and I saw them repeated on the Douglas County. So it just made me realize this anger and this anti-cycling and the cyclists hating the motorists that also came out in both of those threads. it wasn't just isolated to my accident, it was huge. Yeah. We probably had a couple hundred comments on my accident's post. On yours, I think last I saw it was 1,200, something like that. And that didn't count when people had shared it to other, and I've heard people in different states comment on it. I think I've spent a lot of time in my life being fairly defensive and fairly high-strung and a little bit of an angry person that would immediately assume somebody tried to hit me, that type of thing. And an event like this would make me very angry and probably hateful towards people, groups, whatever. I almost feel like there's been an anger gene that got taken out of me because I haven't been able to feel that. I haven't gotten there. After the accident, I was just a lot of road rash, but my helmet was barely even damaged. It had a little scuff on it, so my head didn't even hit the pavement apparently. And I don't know how that happened, but she actually at one point was wondering about my behavior. She goes, you know what, I want to take a look at your helmet again because I think you got hit harder than they said because you're acting way too calm. And I was just, yeah, for whatever reason, I have been able to find a way to take this experience and look at cycling and cyclists and traffic and everything around it more pragmatically and look at it from both sides because it's not one against the other. We have roads out there, they're made to share, and we're all human beings. And there's enough anger going on in the world in a political climate. I refuse to take that into something we all enjoy, whether it's me being on a bike on a road or somebody else going out for a ride with their family. We should be able to all enjoy the outdoors and doing whatever we do on public areas together and be respectful of each other. And being angry and hateful and thinking the worst possible scenario and trying to, put narratives into it that aren't there, that's just not where I want to go. It's a problem. And it's not a cyclist problem. It's not a motorist problem. It's a problem of the community of everybody that's out there on the road together. It's a lot, I think, really believe a lot of people don't realize what the law is, and that's not just from a motorist standpoint, it's from a cyclist standpoint. Sometimes both of them, they don't understand. There's also an issue of, I don't know if the right word is self-entitlement, that I feel it's kind of like, okay, the law says I can do this, therefore I'm going to do it. And anybody that doesn't allow me to do it, they're in the wrong. So whether it's a motorist saying, okay, I'm going 45 miles an hour here and this cyclist is slowing me up, I have a right to pass him no matter what. And, okay, cyclists could say, two oncoming cars coming on, I have a right to have these 3 feet no matter what, even if it causes a head-on collision. It's kind of a respect I think we need to instill in people. Yes, the law is there for a reason, but the law also has flexibility of what is safe, what is common sense, because I can speak firsthand. I know that I was in the right in my accident. I absolutely know. I know I'd signaled and everything. It doesn't make a difference when you get hit. Guess what? The F-250 wins. He might have had some paint damage. I don't know if I'm going to have scars all over me. My wife was pretty traumatized by it just because of the nature of getting a call. But it's not worth it. It's not worth it to be right. It's much better to just be respectful of each other, whether it's the cyclist slowing down or the motorist kind of giving a slow down. I'm beyond lucky. I shouldn't be here. I'll take you back a little bit to that day when I got up. I should say, I can remember literally thinking I'm slowing down because I was rolling sideways. And I wasn't sure what had happened. I mean, I knew I was crashed. I didn't realize how bad this was until I stopped. And I can vaguely remember looking up and seeing the truck and seeing the other guy, the driver, and then everything is around me. There's ambulances. It all happens so fast. And people yelling at me to keep my head down, lay there, don't move. And I thought I was dead at one point. I thought there was no way, because I remember looking down and seeing a lot of blood. I literally remember thinking I was dead. There's just no way. I was waiting to just kind of also, I thought maybe I was going to see my body somewhere, but it just seemed like a dream. It just didn't seem real. And to hear paramedics again, and also the doctors that were working with me in the ER saying they just could not believe that I took that big of a hit and in that kind of an accident, that fast and that far. And I did not break a bone. I didn't break a fingernail. I mean, there's a lot of scars that are going to be there for a long time. But I feel unbelievably lucky and unbelievably blessed to be alive. It's beyond lucky. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. And I think it's almost like a second life in a way. It really feels like that. Because it's not a near-death experience. It's a near should-have-died experience. And to have that, it's a really weird feeling. And that's probably why I really think that is what has triggered such a change in my emotions as far as anger. And, any kind of hate towards anybody, or just it's galvanized that I want to do something good with this accident. I was allowed to live for a reason. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in luck in this. I was given a chance to not only live, but literally start doing something almost immediately. When I saw the post, I had a few people that said, "Oh man, you got to post something on there." Sure, great, just what I want to do. And I literally let it just marinate for a couple days, and then I decided to send a message saying, what my feelings were. And then, I do have this website that, I've got some great supporters. Bicycle Colorado supports me as well as Colorado Bike Law, who's written, Brad Tucker. He has written passed six bills for cycling safety. So when I came to you and did that, my thought was, it was not to rant. It wasn't to be like, hey, if we don't do something here, we're going to do this and this. It was I thought, I want to have a voice, a positive voice, to instead of this adversarial relationship, because it literally started to feel like to myself and that was my knee jerk, and to other people, that it was like, okay, I've got motorists against me. Now it feels like I've got the Douglas County sheriffs against me. And I was like, that's not real. No. I think the intent of the post was good. I really do. I thought it was made for safety. I think it just allowed a platform for people to blow up on, which just about every social post does. So I really wanted to take a step to reach out to say, look, I want to work together. Let's do something start in the county where I live, do some stuff to bring a positive relationship between motorists and cyclists. You've got the motorists' voice. You have the audience there because you deal with them more than cycling. I've got more of the cycling, voice. So I figured it's a great idea if we could do something. I was thinking even if it was one event before I talked to you guys and came to you initially. But now it looks like with your cooperation, and hopefully I'm going to be able to do the work of 5 people myself, but do a series of events just to bring cooperation and build a cool cycling community that is supported by people instead of hated. It took me about 4 weeks to get on a bike, and that was literally my 1-speed cruiser that I have in the garage, and I took it for a little ride downtown and back. And then a couple weeks later, I was able to actually get on a ride. I've never experienced, I didn't even really know what PTSD. I've had friends that have had it. I now know what that is. It was hard for me to drive for a week because anytime I heard a car coming up behind me, it would literally freak me out, where a couple times I had to pull over and let my wife drive. But once I got back on a bike and I was able to do it, I was very gingerly about it. And it's taken me a little bit. I'm mostly on paths still and on gravel roads. And I've been able to ride on some roads, but still, it's scary and it's real. Every time I see any vehicles